So Freemason is below Illuminati. If
I
you
will
try to explain
yes.
clearly, so
Yes.
the listeners understand. Right now you were talking about Freemasonry. So
sure.
what's the role of Illuminati and where that is placed
Now,
in that scheme?
In all this scheme of things, at the foundation of Freemasonry, we find also, obviously, the steward that we were mentioning, Xavier Ramsay. Who were these? Were Catholics. Catholics. Obviously, in 1770, an order, which is the most powerful order to this day of the Catholic Church, the order of the Jesuits, became basically legal. The Vatican said, these people are a threat even to the Church. I mean, you know, they were founded by Ignazio Loyola. They picked up the system of the Knights Templars from Portugal and so on, and they filtered it as a power structure. They became basically a militia, spies of the Vatican. South America is being literally created by the Jesuits. Statues of Ignazio Loyola are everywhere in South America. But who was Ignazio Loyola? Ignazio Loyola was a guy who went to the king and said, oh, there is some creatures in Africa, they smell a bit, they're black, but we can use them as slaves. That was Ignazio Loyola, who now is a saint. So that also should make you meditate a little bit about the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the core structure behind some of the most evil moments of history in the last 500 years, including Nazism, communism, and whatnot. They are always behind the scene. They are the scientists of the Vatican, the men of great culture, but most of all, the Jesuits are the only ones who have a general. They don't have some abbot, some head, which is a man. No, this is a general. It's called the Black Pope in the code, in the name they give at the Vatican. Black Pope is Adolf Nicholas. You have it written down now. But actually, these days is the era of the two Black Popes.
Who's the other one?
Hans Kovenbach, who didn't give up his job. In fact, when recently, 2 years ago, I was able to have this document from Borgo Santo Spirito. I opened it up. It was a presentation of the Jesuit order in the year 2008. I opened it because they were doing an interview to me and also to the Jesuits about the Illuminati during the, I think no, it was 2009, during the promotion of Angels and Demons. Panorama, which is this important magazine, came to me. Then they went to Borgo Santo Spirito and said, Leo, don't come into Borgo Santo Spirito because, you're not welcome here. I said, okay. Journalists went in, with the Academy of the Illuminati members who were doing this. I said, okay, I don't care. But they brought me this document. I opened it and said, this is the era of the two generals. Geez, already one is bad. Two, it's just terrible. So, the era of the two generals. One is in Lebanon, so he presides over the Middle East, and the other one is in Rome, doing the rest of the business. Where does Adolf Nicholas come from, though? He was head of the Jesuits in Japan. The Secretary for Interreligious Dialogue of the Jesuits, which I personally know, and I met also in Oslo, Thomas Michel, instead was the head of the Jesuits also for Asia. So there is a strong interest in Asia, in China, and Japan at this moment. That's why I'm talking about Japan and China. Really, everybody's trying to grasp the alliances here. And we can say one thing about the Jesuits. They were the first people who ever went to Japan. The first people who the emperor ever met from Europe were the Jesuits. Imagine that. And the problem here is this. Why we basically went there and the Jesuits were able to spy on them and all that, all their tradition, and kind of do the usual secret service operation. We, in exchange, were not really able to have the exchange of culture from the other side, because the Jesuits will only keep it for themselves. They used to say, we rule the world from this building, which is in the corner in front of the Vatican. We rule the world. So the Jesuits were behind the establishment of the degrees of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. They were behind the foundation of the Illuminati with Adam Weishaupt, who was a professor of canonic law at the University of Ingolstadt. And they basically are still to this day the link to the Academy of the Illuminati, which has been restructured officially in the year 2000. Saint Francis went to the Middle East after founding his order. What he found in the Middle East was very interesting. He found another religion that very few people knew in detail at that time, which was the Islamic religion. And in the Islamic religions, they have the whole story of how Ismail and, and then he discovered that actually that Allah was the same God it was the same Abrahamic God that they had in his religion. And he was astonished. I mean, for us nowadays, it seems normal that, Muslims believe in one God and we believe in God. No. In the medieval time, Allah was God, we had another God, and the other ones had another God altogether, Jehovah, whatever. So, and when St. Francis returned to Rome, he went to the Pope and said, I heard some really incredible stories, we are really all brothers. The Pope said to St. Francis, mind your own business. We know that, but you are not allowed to say it. So just go back home and mind your own business. In the meantime, St. Francis was actually, they took his Franciscan order and gave it to somebody else. So he went to the middle, he came back, he wasn't even the head of his order anymore. They already had founded several hundred monasteries, and he ended up his life basically without being in control of anything, because he was a truly revolutionary man of faith, while instead the Vatican, as usual, is business.
To whom Vatican reports? Who controls them?
Well, the Jesuits love to be in contact with the most demonic forces. And they love also to be great astronomers. They have one of the greatest observatories in Mount Graham. As well as the Jewish Kabbalists, the Jesuits practice occult rituals that link them to several entities. Those entities are the fallen entities. They are not the superior entities eventually of light that we define as angels. So, I mean, the Vatican is controlled by the darkest of darkest force, Though they are visibly taking the religion from a solar cult, which is visible when you arrive in Rome, Everything, even St. Peter's Square is all shaped in a way with so you have the sun passing at certain moments of time in one part or the other of the square in various periods of the year. And also you have the Isis current, which they have picked up and put into the Holy Mary belief. We can say that the forces that are truly manipulating Rome, as usual, are the forces of greed, power, that have nothing to do with the religion and everything to do with, Saturn. Saturn, known also as Satan. In fact, in ancient Rome, they used to call it Saturnali. Saturnali were the festivities, In Rome, nothing has changed under the sun for thousands of years, Those people, simply Constantine created the religion of the empire, because he said, why having all these religions? Let's mix them all up. God is a DJ, okay, let's mix them all up. Boom. They came up with this Catholic faith. Seemed to have worked.
No information.
Is it Raphael?
The chapel is Raphael. The sculptures are Bernini. The unknown Illuminati master. Bernini?
He worked for the church.
Almost exclusively. But the Illuminati were infiltrators. There wasn't a powerful organization on Earth they didn't penetrate, including the Vatican, by hiding in plain sight. Habakkuk and the angel.
He's the prophet that predicted the annihilation of the earth.
Let angels guide thee on thy lofty quest. This is the first marker. The path is alive. come for their revenge. There's a hidden trail through Rome itself. I need access to the Vatican archives.
Access to the archives is only by written decree by the Holy Father.
There's a hidden trail through Rome itself.
There was more than a passing connection between this awesome structure and the monuments of Mars. Well, take a look. As you progress through the various imaging enhancements, this is high sun now, all right, you can very definitely see that this guy has a simian proto-human look. What you then do is you take the halves, all right, and you fold over. All right, let me go back one. You fold over this half, all right, onto that half so that you can actually get a mirror image, and it's very definitely primitive hominid. It's not Marilyn Monroe or Paul Newman. Why is it primitive hominid? Might it have something to do with how old we think this thing might be? Circa 500,000 years. Hold that thought. Then what we do is we go back to the original, all right, and we then take the right half and we do the same thing. We fold that over and we get this. And I'm really gratified by your response, guys, because that's exactly my feeling. The hair on the back of my neck. When I realized that what we were looking at in the Monument of Mars, the face on Mars, was the fusion of the hominid and the feline. The fusion of this persona. From this, I realized that what we were seeing was, of course, sphinxes, literal embodiments of sphinxes on two worlds linked by the fundamental constants of Cydonia over and over and over again.